Bueno, continuamos con esta mañana apasionante. Estamos muy lejos, vente para acá.
Sí, es verdad.
Estamos aquí,
Venga,
así más juntitos.
Eso.
Bueno, tanto el diseño tecnológico como las profesiones relacionadas con la programación necesitan de tanta diversidad y de tanta riqueza como la propia humanidad. Y por eso la búsqueda del talento y la vocación en tecnología se convierte en un imperativo para el crecimiento económico y social en todo el mundo. Y de eso vamos a hablar ahora. Tenemos una mesa redonda sobre el fomento de las vocaciones y habilidades STEAM con Michael Polman de Education Lead Europe en Amazon in the Community, es responsable de la ampliación de Amazon Future Engineer, el programa estrella de Amazon en materia de educación digital para jóvenes desfavorecidos en Europa.
Y además va a compartir mesa con Pat John Pradit, que es director académico de Code.org, que es una organización sin ánimo de lucro dedicada a promover la educación en ciencias de la computación. Y en esta mesa también va a estar Carmen Morenés, directora general de la Fundación Telefónica, y también el doctor Moody Al-Jamea, que es decana de la Academia STC. Va a ser una mesa que en esta ocasión va a ser el moderador Javier Santaolalla.
Pues les recibimos con un fuerte aplauso y les dejamos con ellos.
Buenas a todos, buenos días, ¿qué tal? ¿Todo bien? Aquí con ustedes, doctor Javier Santaolalla, doctor en física de partículas y amante de la física, de la ciencia y del universo, pero que hoy llevo un traje diferente, es el traje de la curiosidad por el futuro y una de las grandes pasiones que yo he desarrollado desde siempre, que es la educación. Así que me encuentro ante un grandísimo reto hoy, porque es un tema del que podríamos estar hablando horas. Ya tengo un reloj ahí que marca 35 minutos para hablar de una cuestión súper interesante que a todos, desde luego que estamos aquí, nos interesa mucho, y con un panel de expertos pues que desde luego que muy privilegiados de tenerlos aquí. Así que estamos ante ese gran reto, el de condensar tantas cosas que tenemos que contar en 35 minutos. Por eso, que no me voy a alargar más con esta presentación, creo que todos aquí somos apasionados del conocimiento, de la educación, somos muy diversos, pero a la vez nos une algo que son esas ganas de construir un mundo mejor, y todos de aquí yo creo que estamos de acuerdo en que uno de los pilares es la educación. Así que precisamente vamos a hablar de eso, de vocaciones STEM, de los retos de futuro, de los proyectos que cada uno está desarrollando para este gran objetivo de crear, como digo, un mundo mejor. Yo creo que somos todos idealistas, sentados aquí y sentados allí, seguro que también. Y con estos objetivos en mente, vamos a abrir primero una ronda para conocerlos individualmente y luego una ronda de discusión. La pregunta, en el fondo, no es otra, sino en un mundo tan cambiante, donde están sucediendo tantas cosas a la vez, donde los retos cada vez son más exigentes, y no hay por qué mencionar todos, pero cambio climático, población mundial, el otro día llegamos a los 8.000 millones. Ante todos estos retos, ¿qué hacer, no? ¿Qué hacer? ¿Cómo liderar hacia un futuro mejor y las nuevas generaciones que tomen el relevo? Así que sin extenderme más, ya los han presentado a todos, así que tampoco me voy a extender. Tenemos con nosotros a Carmen Morenés, anfitriona de Fundación Telefónica, que además, director general de Fundación Telefónica, que además, como digo, muy involucrado en temas de educación. Tenemos con nosotros también a Michael Polman, de Amazon, Head of Education aquí en Europa. Tenemos también con nosotros a Pat John Pradit, de Code.org, y finalmente a la doctora Moody, de Educación de Saudi Telecom. Como ven, es una mesa muy variada, que es otra de las cosas muy bonitas, porque no solamente cubrimos diferentes regiones del territorio del globo, sino que además diferentes áreas de la educación. Así que vamos a comenzar con Carmen Morenés, que representa a la Fundación Telefónica, que además, Carmen, lo decía antes, Telefónica tiene un gran compromiso con la educación, ¿verdad? Y es algo que no viene de nuevo.
Absolutamente. Telefónica tiene un compromiso con la educación y la formación desde hace muchísimos años, tanto desde la empresa como desde la Fundación. Y en la Fundación claramente tenemos un foco muy específico, por un lado, a a través de la Fundación Profuturo y con la Fundación La Caixa, que está aquí con nosotros hoy, en la educación enfocada a niños y niñas en entornos de vulnerabilidad y llevar una educación de calidad en entornos que la digitalización y las nuevas metodologías te lo permiten, y donde realmente hay que romper esa brecha educativa. Por otro lado, tenemos un foco muy específico en todo lo que es la formación para el empleo, el conocimiento de qué está pasando, qué necesita el mercado laboral. En este momento hay una brecha muy amplia, hay muchas empresas que están buscando talento determinado o que necesitan que sus propios empleados desarrollen una serie de capacidades en un mundo que cambia a una velocidad vertiginosa, y por otro lado la formación no tiene el tiempo para poderse ir adecuando y poder ir ofreciendo salida y soluciones a este gap que se está produciendo, que puede ser un riesgo de desigualdad muy importante.
Entonces, si tuvieras que decir cuáles son los grandes retos así actuales de la educación, ¿cuáles dirías? 3 retos, por ejemplo.
En este momento, desde luego, el primer reto es conocer y saber para poderte anticipar a esas necesidades que van a tener las personas. El segundo reto es que tú no puedes formar en un momento de tu vida, dar formación a las personas en un momento de su vida y que sea útil para toda su vida laboral. Necesitas aprender a aprender y ser capaz de ser dueño de tu propio aprendizaje, y eso es una manera diferente de enseñar y de aprender. Y desde luego el tercer reto es, como decimos, que se extiende esa formación y la necesidad es cada vez más amplia en todos los momentos de la vida.
¿Y cuál es el papel de una gran empresa, bueno, una empresa más tecnológica, en la educación? Porque tradicionalmente la educación ha sido una cuestión más de gobiernos. ¿Cuál es el papel de una empresa tecnológica y cómo puede ayudar una empresa a moldear la educación en un país?
Bueno, en nuestro caso, una empresa que tiene los conocimientos de un mundo tecnológico en donde el cambio se está produciendo específicamente, muy enfocalizado en todas las necesidades de la digitalización, tiene ese compromiso de formar y ofrecer ese conocimiento a las sociedades donde está presente, para realmente cerrar esas brechas que estamos diciendo y dar oportunidad a todos para tener un desarrollo personal y profesional en el sentido necesario, ¿no? Y para eso, desde hace más de 20 años, la Fundación Telefónica lleva trabajando en el mundo de la educación, tanto en España como en Latinoamérica, y ahora, como decimos, con el proyecto de Profuturo se extiende a otras realidades y otras geografías, y además, desde que vimos la necesidad que surgía en el mercado laboral de ese talento que no se iba ofreciendo y que no se iba desarrollando en el sistema de formación más tradicional, y al mismo tiempo unas tasas de desempleo, y sobre todo desempleo juvenil, muy elevados, decidimos poner foco específicamente en una necesidad muy clara y donde creemos que la tecnología tiene mucho que aportar.
Sí, y me parece muy bonito como ese círculo, ¿no?, de empresa, universidad o academia y al final la sociedad, cómo se juntan para elevar todo esto, ¿no? ¿Y en qué proyectos anda ahora mismo Telefónica? ¿Cuáles son las vías principales de desarrollo en educación?
Bueno, nosotros en primer lugar me gustaría decir que creemos que no podemos trabajar solos, tenemos un reto enorme, enorme como sociedad, y vemos que en todos los lugares, que no es propiamente de un lugar del mundo, sino que realmente esto se extiende de una manera globalizada, ¿no? Y el reto es, para poder atenderlo, necesitamos aliarnos, empresas, sistema educativo, gobiernos, sector público, sector privado, para realmente dar respuesta rápida y urgente a este reto tan potente. Nosotros, me gustaría destacar que intentamos de alguna manera buscar soluciones diferentes, soluciones innovadoras a retos que se nos plantean desde hace mucho tiempo, pero que realmente cada vez se convierten en algo más urgente, ¿no? Y en este sentido me gustaría destacar nuestra nueva metodología de formación en unos campus que tenemos. Campus 42 es un proyecto que desarrollamos en España, que viene de París, y que nosotros trajimos a España y hemos llegado también a Brasil, y que tenemos en este momento 5 campus abiertos, y que es un ejemplo completo de cómo se puede romper con la metodología tradicional y cómo se puede conseguir aprender de otra manera. Es un campus que cualquier persona, admite a cualquier persona mayor de 18 años, tenga conocimientos previos o no del mundo de la programación, y donde puedes aprender y desarrollar una profesión relacionada con el mundo digital, bien sea en ciberseguridad, bien sea en programación en diferentes lenguajes, bien sea inteligencia artificial, Internet de las cosas y muchas otras muchos otros caminos, ¿no? Y especialidades. Y la virtud es que, además del aprendizaje técnico y aprender de otra manera, aprender entre pares, aprender a cualquier hora del día o de la noche, en cualquier momento, ser líder de tu propio aprendizaje, buscar soluciones a los proyectos, realmente lo que te da es las capacidades también que demanda hoy en día la sociedad y el mercado laboral, que son la capacidad de trabajar en equipo, la capacidad de aprender de tus compañeros, la capacidad de innovar y de crear y de buscar soluciones a problemas complejos. Todo ello creemos que es una metodología que tiene muchísimo valor para extenderse también y ser un ejemplo de cómo se puede romper con las metodologías tradicionales, y además vemos que tiene un resultado de inserción laboral del 100%, que es el objetivo final, ¿no? Y que cualquier persona, en cualquier momento de su vida, nuestra media de edad en los campus están cerca de los 30 años, tenemos personas desde 18 hasta cerca de 60, se puede formar y puede compartir sus experiencias, sus conocimientos, su capacidad de creación para llegar a todos a tener un conocimiento conjunto. Tiene la virtud de estar abierto. Esta metodología además ha sido reconocida por los premios Guri dentro de su ranking como una de las top enseñanzas más innovadoras y con mayor impacto del mundo. Y en cuanto a impacto está el tercero en el ranking, por delante de universidades muy conocidas en el mundo, universidades de primer nivel. Por lo cual vemos y se comprueba que realmente es una metodología que funciona.
Muy bien, muchas gracias, Carmen. Pues la verdad es que sí, que estamos viendo cómo además la educación en los últimos años se está impulsando, se está empujando, y además se está haciendo de múltiples maneras y de forma global. Y es una de las cosas que quería hablar con Michael Bollman. Esta mesa, como pueden ver, es multicultural, también multilingüística, así que ¿lo intentamos en español?
No, por favor,
Yo,
no les quiero molestar con mi español.
yo hago la pregunta en español, ¿respondes en inglés o my Spanglish?
Spanglish. Spanglish.
Spanglish. El resto lo haremos en inglés, ¿vale? Menos las conclusiones finales. So, Michael Bollman, you have a wide view because you belong to a international company, one of the biggest in the world, Amazon. So you have a big view of what is going on in this universe and in this planet. So is this a global problem? Is it a local problem? What is your view of education today?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here and to be on this panel. So I think education is really facing big challenges, as you said. Like it's coming from an epoch where the school book was teaching to children in a frontal way and trying to really have them repeat things, right? And the global problem is that we really need to get to project-based learning, like that students really keep learning their life long, and that they learn things that they don't know about and that the teacher might not know about, right? So it's really together you want to solve a problem, and that's seen as learning. So globally we have to get to this shift, and it sounds pretty easy because all the companies that we're in and the organizations we're in, we're already working in agile ways, but for schools it's really hard to break out of these traditional manners. In Europe, I would say we have other challenges, like especially with the huge influx of refugee children coming from Ukraine, especially in Western Europe, in Southern Europe, from other continents. The schooling system is under enormous stress, right? There is a huge lack of teachers, lack of rooms, basic resources. And then, of course, they're not training their kids for jobs of the future, because many times we don't know how these jobs even look like. Because most of the jobs might be very different because of the change in technology, AI, and all the things, and taken by robotics or algorithms. So what we try to do with Amazon Future Engineer, this is the program that we designed to come up and help to solve that problem a bit, is to really have these children be able, especially from underserved and underrepresented backgrounds, like refugees, but also kids with migration backgrounds or from socially deprived areas, to be able to get in touch with technologies and algorithms and not only play around with them and do projects with them, but also understand the algorithms and the logics behind them and how they might influence the world. Because if we think about it, the code of today is written mainly by male white men. And we really want to make a stance that it needs more diversity and equity and inclusion in the tech industry, also to build an inclusive future of tomorrow. And therefore, we need the future generations. And then we have a lot of teacher trainings with Code.org and other NGOs. Like, it's our biggest philanthropy program where we really hand out grants to experts, because we know that we're not the experts there. And we enable children from deprived areas to come into Amazon and have a look in internships with mentors and also with stipends and bursaries.
With science and technology, we know that there is a lot of companies demanding people with these skills, but few people that are studying. This is a global problem as well. What's wrong with science and technology in your view?
Well, the challenge starts already. I have 3 daughters at home, and my oldest is 7 years old, and she already says she hates math, right? And probably many of us can relate to that challenge, and I don't know where she picked it up. That in her brain she already thinks it's not for her, she's bad in math. And studies show that with 7 or 8 years, it's already decided if students are interested in these topics and if they allow themselves to test and try themselves in those areas. So I got a small book and a coding kit from a partner NGO, and I coded with my 7-year-old daughter on a Calliope Mini, and we managed to turn it on and make it blink. It's her name there, Sophie, right? And it even beeps a melody, if the father would know the right button. And this small example shows afterwards she was really changed, right? Because she felt she could influence these things and she could navigate it, and she lost her fear. And this is exactly one project that we bring to schools, and we try to have children experience their power.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Amazon Future Engineering, how it works, and what are the goals of the project?
Yeah, as I said, we have 3 pillars in the program. It's mainly explore jobs and career opportunities of the future, because the biggest problem is that children, they don't know why they should study math for, and why they should try to code. If you know what it's worth doing for, if you know which careers and which different careers you can go into, if you have role models, then it's a big difference. So we send volunteers to teachers in schools to talk about their personal career trajectory. We have coding challenges in Scratch and Python where every child can play around with, and every teacher can simply teach himself. But then we also have the Learn pillar, where we train teachers to pass it on, and multipliers in youth centers and out of school, libraries and other institutions. And then we have the Build pillar, where we really try to help kids build their career on IT and get them into Amazon to experience and with an IT career in internships or with bursaries for the university studies.
Thank you very much, Michael. So now I want to switch to kids and coding, and this is the main subject of the next person in this table. Is Pat John Pradit. He belongs to Code.org, a really nice initiative. I'm ambassador of this initiative. It's a worldwide initiative to bring coding to students of all ages, especially kids, so that they can learn coding as soon as possible. But I think it's better if Pat tell us a little bit more about this project, right?
Yeah. So I want to start by introducing myself. I'm Pat, and before Code.org, I taught computer science and science for 13 years. So I'm not just like a policy guy or something like that. I lived computer science in the classroom, and I saw the joy that it brought students, and that's why I joined Code.org. Code.org is a global nonprofit organization dedicated to the idea that every student in every school, primary and secondary, around the world deserves the opportunity to learn computer science. That might sound like an obvious mission to you all, like that's important, that's a good idea, but the fact is that around the world there are millions and millions, I would say even maybe billions of students who, even if they wanted to learn computer science, couldn't because their schools aren't offering it, their teachers aren't teaching it, and the government isn't supporting it. So ultimately, the mission of Code.org is to raise awareness around computer science, to change policies by engaging with governments, provide free curriculum from primary to secondary school, including curriculum that includes things like what Michael just showed, like circuit boards, but also data science, cybersecurity, AI, so it's not just about coding, even though we're called Code.org. And then lastly, what we find most impactful for introducing computer science is training teachers. So in the US, across 60 partners, we've trained over about 130,000 teachers over the last 9 years, and that's all in-person, primary, and secondary. Actually, the bulk of that is at the primary level because we believe that computer science needs to begin at a very early age. And my role, specifically as the Chief Academic Officer, is to focus on advocacy and thought leadership and influencing people like you all. So if you're representing an organization or a country that's interested in promoting computer science, I'd love to talk to you. My email is pat@code.org. It doesn't even include my last name, so it's very easy to remember.
So well, I'm also a fan of coding, but I think it's also important to remark why is coding so important in the world today?
Okay, so I'm a go a little philosophical real quick. So right now, okay, so technology back in the day used to be about like steam engines and wood and metal, and it really involved a lot of natural resources, right? And even now, technology involves natural resources, but most of what we think about technology is digital. As soon as I say the word technology, everyone thinks about digital. You're not really thinking about anything like actually material. And so we have this digital world. So why do we need coding? Because we need people, citizens of this world, to understand how to harness this digital world and use it for their own interests and passions. So whether you're a fashion designer who wants to put lights in a dress so that when the dress moves, it lights up in different patterns, or if you're just a biologist wanting to figure out how to develop new drugs for COVID. Either way, computer science is important, coding is important in order to engage with this digital world and become a creator of technologies rather than just a consumer of technologies that other people create.
One of the things I like the most of Code.org, I'm a super fan, is the potential to change the world by social development. So let's say, for example, someone in a village in Bolivia will learn coding from, 5 years old, and probably in the future work for Amazon, for Telefonica, or for Saudi Telecom. So what's your view in this point? How do you see coding as a tool to change the world?
Well, I just gave a couple examples in fashion design and COVID drugs.
But I mean in special regions like Africa.
Oh yes, in developing regions.
Development, yeah.
Yes. So in developing regions, there's often the education philosophy is often to compare yourself to another country and wanting to let's be like that country or be like this region and let's improve just the basics, right? And I think coding offers a developing country the opportunity to jump over or leapfrog over these basic things and actually include those basic things, because when you're coding, you're learning math, you're learning about communication, collaboration, creativity, etc. But leapfrog these things and provide a whole new, modern, fun, engaging context for learning the basics, as well as preparing students for the future. So rather than always playing catch up to other regions, these regions can jump ahead and do amazing things. And actually, a great example of that is Estonia. Estonia 20 years ago was a very different place than what it is now, which is a hub for digital innovation. They made it a priority to include computer science in their curriculum way earlier than many other countries. They made that bet, and that bet has paid off for them. So Estonia is a great example.
Great, thank you very much, Pat. And we moved to Dr. Moody. We moved to Arabia to learn a little bit more about education in Saudi Telecom. Welcome here. What is going on there in Arabia? Do you have the same problems? What are the solutions you are proposing?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us today. It's a very interesting topic and challenging for all over the world. First of all, let me just give you some information about what you do. STC is a Saudi telecom company. It's the biggest telecom company in the region. And nowadays, we're moving from being just a telecom company into a digital company. Just in the past 18 months, we launched 4 companies. We have around 15 subsidiaries. 4 companies was launched in IoT, in cybersecurity, in cloud, in sub-sea cables and data centers. And the first thing we did when we went through restructuring and having this very ambitious strategy is to look at our learning entity. So we created the academy to be the learning and innovation hub for the group. And we switched the focus of just being a training center into a strategy enabler. And that shows how we are thinking differently about our talent. No matter how much we have a strong strategy to achieve, if we do not have the right assets, which is the most important assets, which is our people, ready and equipped with the knowledge that is necessary and important for us to achieve our strategy, then we're not going to go anywhere. So what happened is that we have refreshed the strategy for our academy in order to be able to go the extra step and move forward with achieving our big bets that we want to achieve. And we switch the way of how we think and look at learning. We look at a customized learning, a fun learning. We care about the participants' experience more than the number of participants that we trained. So we do not have a KPI, you need to train 5,000 or you need to train 10,000. It's the impact that you are doing. And we don't do that without having a full journey that will benefit our participants from. For example, we looked at we have 3 major talent programs, a HIPO, which is the normal high potential. SDP, we believe not everyone can grow to be a leader. So we created a specialized development program. We can develop you to be our consultant and our expert. And then we have the Fresh Graduate Program, which is the talent incubation program. It's one of our popular programs 2 years after graduation. And then we created around more than 50 programs, which is sectorial based on the sector. Not only on technology focused, which is our core, but also the support functions such as finance, accounting, marketing. These are all support functions that is important with the digital mindset. However, also we focused on encouraging, we showed our employees that we care about you, we invest, we design, we partner with the top learning institutes such as IE. We have a great partnership with them to develop our mid-management. But you need to take responsibility, as Carmen mentioned, about your learning. So learn how to learn is the most important skill that we need to have it in our employee. I am a cybersecurity background. I just entered into the learning field 3 years ago, but I think it's a noble mission and I'm enjoying it. And I'm looking at it from a different angle. But for example, a cybersecurity, if we teach someone a cybersecurity methodology 2 years ago, we might not be able to reach out again to you this year. So you need to learn how to develop your skills and methodologies. And we have dedicated a fund, we call it self-learning, in order to help these employees who identify their learning need to come and request learning themselves. It's not only our responsibility to develop our employees, it's their responsibility as well. We help them in developing, they all have IDPs, Individual Development Plan, which is 10% of its training. We need to acquire these learning skills in order to achieve what we need to achieve. And I'm a big fan of code.org because, as we were discussing, I think it's very important for the younger generation to learn coding because it's not only going to help them in the technology skills, but their logical thinking. Because coding is all about solving logical problems. And that will help us as organizations to create a bigger pool of talents who will be ready to enter our corporate world.
Another topic we haven't yet covered is the position of women in science, in particular in education. How can we change things related with this topic? And what is your opinion and your expertise on that?
Well, in Saudi, we have an ambition vision, as most of you know, and we're going through a lot of changes, and we have a lot of projects. And one of our vision goal is to increase the women workforce, the percentage of women workforce in the market. Surprisingly, we don't have a challenge in convincing young generation to get into STEM, because especially in technology, when you look at the number of female graduates from technology in Saudi, they are higher than the male. More than 50% are female. The challenge is to convince them to continue working in this field, providing them with the right opportunity, the right work opportunities that help them to grow. And in order to do that, we need to create role models, females role models, who are having high positions in technology, so they can see and say, well, I want to be this successful woman. And that's what we are trying to create right now. It's not a perfect scenario yet, but I think we are in the right track.
Muy bien, quedan 5 minutos, quería, just in Spanish, 1 minute only. I come back to Spanglish soon. Quedan 5 minutos, quería dejar los 5 últimos minutos simplemente para una conversación más abierta, donde cada uno pueda opinar, con los temas que han quedado un poco en tintero. Ya saben que podríamos estar, literal, a hablar horas de esto, pero como tenemos un tiempo muy limitado, pues he dejado unos pequeños temitas pendientes para discusión final. So now final discussion, so I mean, I will start with certain topic and any of you can say something about it. So there is something that you all said during this presentation, and it's an interesting topic. So we want to reach the students, we want to change education, but there is something in the middle that is really important and sometimes is forgotten, teachers. In code.org you teach a lot of teachers, also in Telefónica. So what is the role of teachers? What are the challenges for teachers? What can we do? And everything to the infinite. Yeah?
Well, what we consider ourselves as a corporate academy is that we work on minimizing the gap between the academia and the corporate life. We haven't really stepped into the teachers. I think it's an interesting thing because the government have so many initiatives in that area. But as a telecom and a digital organization, I think what we are trying to do is to take the students and work with the student while they are in the schools or in the universities. We do competitions, we do boot camps. For example, we need to hire fresh graduates in IoT. We just launched a company in IoT. Today, we have a boot camp launched for around 60 fresh graduates and students in order to help us to hire maybe 15 out of them and then get the rest of them to the market. We do initiatives with universities, 5G competitions, things like that, and we try to work closely with the teachers in universities In schools, really, we just started discussion with the code.org, and we're excited about it because this area, actually we have an organization in Saudi, we call it Mawhiba, which is talent. And we started also a conversation with them on how can we support the high talented students in schools. And that also include the whole ecosystem from schools, students, teachers, you name it.
As a former teacher, I want to say to other former teachers in the audience, thank you for what you have done. If you're a teacher right now, thank you for what you're doing, especially during the last 2 years. I know it's been very difficult, so thank you for sticking around. I think, yeah, let's give them a round of applause wherever you are, or if you're watching by video, thank you. I'd like to say, you know, Michael was talking about a teacher shortage in Germany. There's a big teacher shortage in the US. There's probably a big teacher shortage where you are as well. I think rather than focusing on recruiting teachers, we can also focus on retaining them. And the way we do that, especially with STEM teachers, is we give them opportunities outside of the classroom to continue to grow professionally while still teaching and not having to make the decision to jump into another career. So they can still teach while still building their knowledge and skills, which obviously will help them in the classroom. So the role for teachers for us at Code.org is super important. It's one of the most important things we do. How do you have a computer science classroom without a computer science teacher? But to keep them in the classroom is probably something that we should probably be focusing on more. And the way to do that, again, is to have externships like at Amazon over the summer, where they can bring that knowledge back to their students and feel like, well, they're making a little bit extra money, but as well, they're able to grow professionally and continue teaching students.
Yeah, and I would want to build on that. I think we could all think of why not become a teacher for a certain time of our life and then go back to our jobs, right? I think teaching is such a one-way door, how we say at Amazon. Like once you took that decision, it's hard to get out of it. And I think this is why the burnout rate is so high, right? Because it's not agile, it's not a learning environment, it's monotonous and repetitive, and it's prone to burn out. And I think we have to support them, retain them, and get fresh blood into the system as well.
Bueno, sumando a lo ya dicho, realmente nosotros confiamos y creemos que la palanca de transformación más potente en la educación, sin duda, son los docentes y ese valor que han demostrado en los últimos años, esa capacidad de adaptación, creo que tenemos que reconocerlos todos porque realmente han mantenido la posibilidad de nuestros niños, niñas y jóvenes que hayan seguido recibiendo una educación en la mayor parte de los lugares, ¿no? Nosotros, como decía, desde la Fundación Pro Futuro, que compartimos con la Caixa, la clave y lo que realmente creemos que nos ofrece la sostenibilidad de que se produzca el cambio y se mantenga, es la figura del docente. Si tú al docente le das la oportunidad de formarse, de adaptar nuevas metodologías, de introducir las nuevas formaciones en coding y en otras materias, serán las personas que realmente produzcan el cambio para las nuevas generaciones y confiamos plenamente en que hay que trabajar con ellos, junto a ellos y apoyarles muy firmemente. En el caso de toda la formación que ofrecemos desde Fundación Telefónica para otras etapas de la vida, sin ninguna duda las metodologías que vamos aprendiendo, que vamos experimentando, la capacidad de orientar y de investigar qué demanda y adelantarnos al mercado laboral a través de herramientas de inteligencia artificial y de Big Data que ofrecemos, la posibilidad de experimentar, queremos compartirla siempre con los docentes y compartirla a todos los niveles, sobre todo en los niveles de vocational training, de formación profesional, donde realmente creemos que la demanda va a estar ahí, que las empresas van a necesitar esas formaciones medias para realmente hacer un cambio y provocar el cambio y el crecimiento económico y que la economía se pueda adaptar y el tejido productivo a las necesidades actuales, y para eso necesitamos sin duda promover, apoyar, compartir con todo lo que es la formación profesional toda la experiencia que tenemos en orientar, acompañar y formar de manera diferente.
Pues muchas gracias, Carmen, muchas gracias a todos los ponentes. La verdad que es un cierre perfecto, porque es una reflexión que yo creo que va muy bien con los 30 minutos que hemos compartido. Creo que es una cuestión que nos preocupa, que nos inquieta, pero que también nos anima a seguir de forma positiva mirando al futuro. Y como decía Carmen, además, creo que un buen mensaje en este panel tan diverso es que es una cuestión global que se soluciona o que se mejora con cooperación, trabajo en equipo de todas las entidades, universidades, profesores, empresas, sociedad. Así que creo que podemos sacar con una palabra de optimismo porque el futuro está aquí en esta mesa, están ustedes y está en nuestras manos. Así que un aplauso muy grande, a big applause for all of them. Espero que lo hayan disfrutado, que hayan aprendido y nos despedimos con una foto grupal, ¿sí? A picture all together with the audience. So I will. This is like a millennial thing. I'm still millennial, eh? 1 year, but I'm still millennial. So yeah. Watch out to the steps. So 3, 2, 1. Tachan.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you
nice,
very much.
Nice. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Bueno.